State government warns against sales of land without consent of owner. Delta Broadcasting Service to be repositioned for better service delivery. Federal government calls for collaboration with development partners to establish soil testing laboratories across the country. And abroad, President Donald Trump issues significant executive orders after being sworn in. A very good evening to you. Thank you for joining us on the Delta Television Main News at 8. Joy Ochei is my name. The state government has warned those involved in sales of land without the consent of the owner to desist or face the law. Special Advisor to the State Governor on Peace Building and Conflict Resolution, Chief Edwin Uzo, handed down the warning at a meeting with representatives of Okbara Ulumu in Ughelli South Local Government Area at the Unity Hall Annex, Ejeba Wari. Henry Unogwa reports.
Chief Uzo said the meeting was to inform the people of the state government's decision on the lingering issues bordering on the community land, the role of the elders in the community, the position of the Okpakorere and the community president general, the community secretary general sale, the tenorship of the Otuta, and the spokesman of the Okpakorere, among other issues. He enjoined the people to obey the community constitution while calling for the restoration of the suspended chiefs. The special advisor blamed the community president general, Mr. Okemute Otoka, for not obeying the local government chairman's instruction to suspend the annual general conference and charged him to consult the leaders of the community before taking decisions.
The President General, before fixing meeting, is supposed to consult. That consultation is very important. Your development union can come up with your own constitution as regards developmental projects and other things in the community, not traditional matters. Traditional matters should be left in the hands of the tradition.
Chief Uzo also warned Mr. Voker Temisere, who he said was the cause of the land dispute, to desist from promoting crisis in the community or face the law. He called on the Oparolomu Community Development Union to work harmoniously with their leaders and promote peace in the community in order to enhance development.
We have told them that the women have no constitutional right to enter the position. And the President General also has no powers to say he's changing Otuka. He doesn't have the power because the President General ideally is under the community leadership.
Chief Uzo assured the people of the state government's readiness to ensure communities and the state enjoy the dividends of democracy. Henry Onogwa reporting.
The state government has restated its commitment to better reposition the state-owned media for effective service delivery to Deltans. The State Commissioner for Works, Rural Roads and Public Information, Mr. Charles Aniago, declared the government's stand when he met with management of Delta Broadcasting Service, Asaba and Warri stations. Henry Usiayo reports.
Mr. Aniago said the purpose of the meeting was to chart a way for the state-owned electronic medium to live up to the purpose for which it was established. He revealed that the state governor, the Right Honorable Sheriff Oborewori, had mandated him to ensure that the broadcast outfit was revived to effectively distribute its signals across the state and beyond and draw government to the people's doorsteps. The commissioner said government was aware of challenges facing the station and would ensure they were tackled.
It's a meeting. It's more or less a family meeting, but it has one goal, which is to make our own state media work for us. When I mean work for us to be able to live up to the billings as envisaged by the founding fathers.
Mr. Aniago charged the stations to synergize their news and programs content to promote unity and sense of belonging among all groups. The meeting was attended by the general managers of the DBS Asaba and Warri stations, Mrs. Christine Jobome Emetolo and Mr. Malcolm Oteri, as well as top management staff of the stations. Also in attendance were top officials of the Information Ministry, including the functioning permanent secretary, Mrs. Theresa Oliko. Henry Usiayo reporting.
The state legislature has promised to continually ensure that government expenditures reflects value for money. Speaker of the State House of Assembly, the Right Honorable Emomoti Migwo, made a pledge while welcoming members to plenary after the festive break. Favor Okafo brings details.
The Right Honorable Gwo said the 2025 budget of the state provides for massive infrastructural development in all sectors across the state. To this end, House committees should oversight government spending priorities through collaborative efforts with the executive arm of government.
I wish to state unequivocally that the legislature and the executive arms of government are democratic vehicles in the society for the appropriation, mobilization, and deployment of resources for the development, welfare, and security of the state and the people.
Highlighting some achievements of the House in the outgoing year, the Speaker said the House is ready to pass more critical bills that will facilitate the implementation of the more agenda of government. He then urged chairmen and members of House committees to conclude action on all pending bills before the end of the second session in June. Appreciating members for the cordial relationship and unity between members, the Speaker sued for more. A minute silence was then observed for those who lost their lives at the inferno that claimed lives in Agbo. Thanking the lawmakers for their show of solidarity to his constituents, the member representing Ika South and Deputy Majority Leader Honorable Festus Oko called on government to equip the State Fire Service as their service on that day was poor.
The State House of Assembly has resumed plenary for the year 2025. Going by the Speaker's speech, 2025 promises a robust legislative year. From the State Assembly, I am Favor Okafo reporting.
Vice President Kashim Shettima has arrived in Davos, Switzerland to represent Nigeria at this year's annual meeting of the World Economic Forum, WEF. A WEF is a gathering of global leaders, business executives and development partners. The Vice President's arrival in Davos was announced in a statement in Abuja by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Communications, Mr. Stanley Nkwocha. According to the statement, the Vice President would participate in bilateral meetings and discussions aimed at advancing the nation's economic opportunities and addressing global risk. One of the major highlights of the Vice President's engagement is the launch of the Humanitarian and Resilience Investing Roadmap for Africa, a collaborative efforts between the Africa Development Bank and other partners. The initiative aims to foster public-private partnerships and attract investments into Africa's emerging markets. The federal government has called for collaboration with private sector stakeholders and development partners to establish soil testing laboratories across the country. The Minister of State for Agriculture and Food Security, Mr. Ali Yusabi, made the call during a sensitization and advocacy campaign in Kano State. He was represented by the State Coordinator for Federal Ministry of Agriculture, Alhaji Isa Huturu. Mr. Sabi said the federal government plans to set up soil testing laboratories in all 774 local government areas as part of the Nigeria Farmers Soil Health Cards scheme. He said that the initiative aims to promote sustainable agricultural practices, improve crop yields, enhance soil quality monitoring. He urged private investors to partner with relevant agencies and organizations to set up modern laboratories that can provide accurate soil analysis. The Minister of Women Affairs, Hajia Iman Suleiman Ibrahim, has condemned the recent wave of killings, sexual violence and abuse targeting women, children and vulnerable groups across the country. In a statement by her Special Advisor on Media and Publicity, Mr. Jonathan Eze, in Abuja, the minister pledged to intensify efforts to enhance the national response system for protecting women, children and others at-risk groups. The minister highlighted the alarming rise in cases of sexual violence, physical abuse, emotional maltreatment, child trafficking and moral exploitation, particularly within schools, homes and communities. The minister further described reports of violence against children as devastating, emphasizing that such acts are a gross violation of their fundamental rights, adding that every child has the right to live in an environment that is safe, secure and nurturing, free from fear, harm or exploitation. She expressed, or rather she stressed, that schools, homes and communities should be safe havens, not sources of distress or suffering. The Minister of Labour and Employment, Mr. Muhammadu Dingadi, says the correct number of unemployed Nigerians will soon be made available to the public. Mr. Dingadi stated this when he appeared before the Senate Committee on Employment, Labour and Productivity, chaired by Senator Dickett Plank in Abuja. He also promised that the ministry was making frantic efforts to tackle unemployment in the country. Mr. Dingadi, who said that he was barely 3 months old in office, mentioned that no time was being spared in fighting unemployment. Chairman of the committee, Mr. Plank, appreciated President Bola Tinubu's commitment to the welfare of Nigerian workers, both in the public and private sectors. He also acknowledged the ministry's commitment to ensuring decent work and promoting employment opportunities. The Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, Ibadan Zone, has asked President Bola Tinubu to protect Nigeria's educational sector from the potential pitfalls of International Monetary Fund (IMF) policies. Speaking at a press conference, ASU's zonal coordinator, Professor Oyegoke Oyebamiji, highlighted the role TET Fund has played in enhancing the infrastructure of Nigerian tertiary institutions. He emphasized that replacing TET Fund with NEL Fund will be regressive and detrimental to Nigeria's educational prospects. Professor Oyebamiji faulted the federal government's current budget allocation of 7 to education, far below the 15 commitments made during their campaign and the 20th threshold recommended by UNESCO. The proposal, the union said, was part of 2024 Public Benefits and Taxation Bill, PBTB, which they claimed posed significant risks to the future of public education in Nigeria. The union expressed concerns over the proposed dissolution of the Tertiary Education Trust Fund, TET Fund, in favor of the newly suggested National Education and Learning Fund, NEL Fund. The National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, has distributed food, non-food items and medical supplies to support the treatment of injured victims and provide relief to the affected families of the tragic petrol tanker fire disaster at Dikko Junction in Niger State, ICT. The agency said the tanker explosion occurred on Saturday morning along Dikko Maji Road opposite Baduji Station. A statement added that the disaster was triggered when a crashed tanker loaded with premium motor spirit spilled its contents during an attempt to transfer the fuel to another tanker. It said the spilled PMS came into contact with a generator used to power the transfer, causing the explosion, adding that the incident claimed 98 lives, left 69 people with varying degrees of injuries, and destroyed 20 shops. The Nigerian Labour Congress (NLC) has blamed perceived incompetent headships of the Ministry of Power National Electricity Regulatory Commission (NERC) for the unending grid collapses. The union lamented that national grid has collapsed under the current minister more than all the previous ministers in the history of Nigeria. Labour made its views known in a statement titled, "Before the Power Sector Collapses." 8 billion naira budget for electricity bill sensitization is a shameful testament to incompetence and wastefulness. NLC equally demanded for a comprehensive audit of the entire power sector budget and others to unearth other potential avenues for corruption and financial recklessness. In the statement by its president, Joe Ajaero, NLC challenged the power minister to tell Nigerians how much dividend it has received from the DISCOs and other privatized entities since the last 12 years of privatization in lieu of its 40% ownership of the privatized entities. Meanwhile, the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria, TUC, has rejected the federal government's proposal to increase the value-added tax VAT rate, warning that such a move would exacerbate the economic challenges faced by Nigerians. The proposed phased VAT hike outlined in the federal government's tax reform bills seeks to raise the current rate of 7.5 to 10, 12.5, and ultimately 15. The TUC, however, described the plan as ill-timed and detrimental to the welfare of citizens already struggling with inflation, unemployment, and rising living costs. The TUC president, Comrade Festus Osifo, said raising VAT could stifle economic growth by eroding consumer purchasing power and discouraging spending. The TUC also called on the federal government to review the tax exemption threshold, advocating for an increase from 800,000 naira to 2.5 million naira per annum to provide relief for low-income earners. The Meet Africa Fashion Festival, MAFEST, endorsed by the state government, has been primed to boost the economy of the state. The president of the MAFEST Governing Council, Mr. Charles Ozumena, disclosed this while speaking with newsmen on the forthcoming event. Mr. Ozumena said the festival was aimed at showcasing the rich cultural heritage and creativity of the African fashion industry. In that it was scheduled to take place from April 24 to 26 in Asaba. He added that the festival will greatly boost the local economy through job creation, talent development, and the resultant revenue generation for the state. Mr. Zomenam called on Deltans to welcome and support participants from across the country and the African continent in the three-day event being organized by the MENA Communications Limited in collaboration with the Vanguard Media and the Modella Culture, featuring African arts and designs.
Garment industry. Attendees will include elite designers, models, top models, influencers, celebrities, fashionistas, industry professionals, investors, who are also trade, all the whole professions in the area of fashion and garment industry.
The chairman of the local organizing committee, Mr. Samuel Fijoko, in his contributions, urged Deltans to embrace the opportunity to showcase Delta states to the world. Still to come on the Delta Television main news at 8, President Donald Trump issues significant executive order after being sworn in. Details of this shortly. Stay with us.
Upgrading your TV doesn't mean buying a new one. Unbelievable, right? But with the new Airtel Smart Router, you can now watch YouTube on any TV and also get unlimited data for 30 days to stream thrilling Nollywood movies, catch up on football highlights, and keep your kids engaged with edutainment all on YouTube. With the Airtel Smart Router, everyone gets what they love. Get the Smart Router plus unlimited data for 25,000 Naira. Visit the nearest Airtel shop to get yours. Airtel, a reason to imagine.
Thank you for staying on. You are watching the Delta Television main news at 8. The Global Scene is next as we join our World News Desk.
Donald Trump has issued a flurry of executive orders after being sworn in as U.S. president again yesterday. On immigration, President Trump told the military to seal the Mexico borders. He ordered that officials deny the right to citizenship to the children of migrants who are either in the U.S. illegally or on temporary visas. The president labeled drug cartels and international gangs as foreign terrorist organizations and ordered that a federal death penalty be reinstated. He also suspended U.S. refugee settlement program. He withdrew the U.S. from the Paris Climate Agreement. President Trump halted the Green New Deal and ordered agencies to halt funds appropriated. The president signed an executive order to begin the process of withdrawing the U.S. from the UN's health body, the World Health Organization, declaring that the U.S. will only recognize two sexes, male and female, and signed a directive postponing by 75 days the implementation of a law that will ban Chinese-owned app TikTok in the U.S. He announced he was issuing pardons for nearly 1,600 of his supporters who were arrested in the riots at the U.S. Capitol in 2021 and commuted sentences for members of the Oath Keepers and Proud Boys far-right groups who were convicted of seditious conspiracy in relation to the riot. Trump also signed a directive creating the Department of Government Efficiency, a new advisory body on cutting government costs expected to be led by Elon Musk. Another directive ordered the restoration of freedom of speech and preventing government censorship. The president also announced he's pausing Foreign Aid, outlining that it wants a review of foreign assistance programs as part of the new American First foreign policy. It revoked a mandate that federal workers must be vaccinated with a COVID vaccine and promised to reinstate the 8,000 military service members who were discharged due to the Pentagon's COVID vaccine mandate with full back pay. To tackle inflation, Trump signed a directive asking every U.S. federal department and agency to address the cost of living and asked for a report in 30 days. He also directed the Secretary of the Interior to change the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America and directed the Secretary to rename Alaska's Mount Denali to Mount McKinley in honor of America's 25th president, whose tariff policies Trump admired. In Turkey, at least 60 people have been killed and a further 51 have been injured after a fire broke out at a hotel at a popular resort in Turkey. Turkey's Interior Minister told reporters that they were in deep pain after visiting the site of the fire at the 12-story Grand Kartal Hotel in the resort of Kartalkaya in Bolu province. Reports say the fire broke out at around 3:30 a.m. in the restaurant of the hotel, and the cause of the fire is still under investigation.
Let's now join our business news desk for happenings in the business sector.
The digital token, known as Trump Dollar, which was launched on Friday, saw its price jump from less than $10 on Saturday to a peak of $74.59 before adjusting slightly on Monday. According to Reuters, the surge in Trump's dollar's value came just ahead of Trump's return to the White House. The token's rise drew attention, with trading volume hitting billions of dollars. As of 13:45 GMT, the coin was trading at $46.93, giving it a market cap of $9.4 billion, according to CoinMarketCap. The token ranked as the 19th largest cryptocurrency, with 24-hour trading volume exceeding $41 billion. Alongside Trump Dollar, Melania Trump launched her own cryptocurrency, Melania Dollar, on Sunday. Melania's dollar market value quickly soared beyond $1 billion. The Trump's organization confirmed that most of the Trump Dollar tokens are owned by CIC Digital, a Trump-affiliated company, and Fight, another entity related to the president's business. The coins are described as a symbol of support for Trump's ideas and are not intended as investment or securities. The launch of this cryptocurrency raised concerns within the crypto industry, with experts questioning the ethical. The National Association of Telecom Subscribers has said it will sue the Nigerian Communications Commission over the 50% tariff hike. Yesterday, the NCC approved the request of telecommunication companies, telcos, to increase tariffs. The adjustment came after the Association of Licensed Telecommunications Operators of Nigeria and the Association of Telecommunications Companies of Nigeria raised several concerns and asked the NCC to review all tariff upwards. The Chief Executive Officer, MTN Nigeria, said telcos wanted a 100% increase in tariffs. He said the federal government approved 50% tariff hike is unacceptable. He said it will affect everyone from the biggest industry to the smallest companies, such as the point of sales operators, and increase operational costs.
The state governor, Right Honorable Sherifu Boriwori, has congratulated elder statesman and former Minister of Police Affairs, Alawi Broderick Bozimo, on his 86th birth anniversary. In a statement by his Chief Press Secretary, Sir Festus Ahon, Governor Boriwori hailed the distinguished lawyer and political leader for his contributions to the growth and development of the state and the country. He lauded Alawi Bozimo for his significant roles, particularly in the development of the state as a member of the State's Advisory and Peace Building Council, and for providing political leadership to the Ijaws in Delta. Governor Bururi, on behalf of the government and people of the state, lauded the celebrant for being a leader of immeasurable value to the state. Governor Bururi prayed God to continue to protect Alawi Bozimo in his avowed commitment in providing immense service to humanity and nation building. The Speaker of the State House of Assembly, the Right Honorable Emomo Timikwo, has felicitated with the Deputy Speaker, Right Honorable Arthur Akbawo, on his 53rd birthday. In a statement by his Chief Press Secretary, Mr. Nkemweke, the Speaker describes the Deputy Speaker as a reliable colleague whose dedication to duties and state development has been inspiring. While wishing him divine grace in his endeavors, the Speaker prayed God to continually grant him the wherewithal to sustain his rising profile in public service. And that's the news. Here's a thought for the day. Don't be pushed by your problems. Be led by your dreams. And just before we go, here are the highlights of the news. The state government has warned those involved in sales of land without the consent of the owner to desist or face the law. Special advisor to the state governor on peace building and conflict resolution, Chief Edwin Uzo, handed down the warning at a meeting with representatives of Okbaro Lumu in Ughelli South local government area at the Unity Hall Annex, Ejeba in Warri. The state government has restated its commitment to better reposition the state-owned media for effective service delivery to Deltans. The State Commissioner for Works, Rural Roads and Public Information, Mr. Charles Anyago, declared the government's stand when he met with management of Delta Broadcasting Service, Asaba and Warri stations. We also reported that the federal government has called for collaboration with private sector stakeholders and development partners to establish soil testing laboratories across the country. And from abroad, we did report President Donald Trump has issued a flurry of executive orders after being sworn in as U.S. President. And that's our news. Thank you so much for being a part of it. On behalf of the entire news crew, Joy Ochei is my name. Good night.